are coming about, so therefore children of the future will be more mixed rather than solely white or solely black or solely Indian or whatever. It's a really cool post, check it out. So, break this down. Oh, we already did this one. What prevents people from performing these obvious actions of discrimination?
Like the bystanders?
The bystanders, yeah. So what prevents them from speaking out, from acting out?
From being attacked by the perpetrator.
Okay, fear of being attacked by the perpetrator they're trying to stop. Okay.
Excuse me. Fear of, like, because you help someone else, then your friends are gonna start, not like teasing, but like acting weird towards you. Oh, like you helped, like the nerd, you like nerds, or oh, you're a trio nerd. So like feel that you're not gonna like have friends because you help someone.
Okay, so fear of not fitting in.
Maybe like the fear that one single action isn't actually going to change things, like my father.
Yeah, it's a really good point. If I do something, what's really going to change about that? That person's probably just going to go do it to someone else. So that's a really good point. Like people think their actions don't make a difference.
I was going to go off that and just, some people just don't want to waste the energy and just don't want to get involved.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So these are all really good points. So why do you think they exist in the first place? Discrimination and stereotypes.
People start thinking too simplistically.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they dislike somebody for completely unrelated, they might just say, oh, I don't like that person because they are X, Y, and Z, so that means everyone who's like that person must be X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm. Generalizing.
I feel like a lot of it also just comes from like fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Just like not knowing and assuming things, or like upbringing, assuming based on like what you've been taught or like what you've seen, like when you've been growing up.
So what you've been surrounded with. So sometimes what you've been surrounded with overrides what you actually think, right? And sometimes it's hard to break out of that. So say your parents are really racist, then you know you shouldn't be, but it's hard to make them change, right? And then sometimes it's for blame. Maybe someone did something to you and now you're blaming everybody of that same interest, that same personality, that same background. Like, I mean, it's an extreme case, but you think of like Hitler and the Nazis and the Jews. He blamed the Jewish people for the depression that they had. Therefore, he took it on all of the Jewish people. Make sense? That's it on a grand scale, but see how something so small can become something so large so quickly, right? So what do you think are the biggest problems that prevent college students from overcoming diversity? So you said bystanders don't get involved because, well, for example, they're afraid to get hurt by the person who they're trying to stop. What about college students in a college setting, right?
They probably want to fit in, and since their friends aren't doing anything, they don't want to be the one person that's standing up or like isolating themselves.
Exactly. Fear of fitting in, fear of not having friends because they want to do the right thing. Chris?
They want to go to the party.
They want to go to the party, they want to get cool. Yeah. Jay?
Like we were talking about before, depending on where you're coming from, like into college, you may never have experienced diversity before, so then you don't know how.
Mm-hmm. It's a big thing. I mean, think about it. Rutgers is super diverse, right? But then you have people who come from, like I said, Bordentown, that's a very white predominant town. But I mean, I'm used to diversity because I am different than being white, but other people who were from my hometown came here and was like, whoa, culture shock. So not knowing other people's differences, being ignorant to that is a big part of it. So what's the advantage of being in a diverse community college? What's the advantage that you have of being at such a diverse Rutgers community?
Being able to work with different types of people and learning different working habits. Like I know if you go into a company and they say, okay, now you have to go to another country, then that person who's been in a diverse community will recognize, okay, I might have to adjust my ways of being, there might be different traditional means of behaving, and then that person has to step up on everyone else in the business world, or just in a company.
Great point. You have an advantage. You have that, I know how to deal with this already. Like, I know how to adjust. So I'm already a step ahead than everybody else. Anybody else? Right, no, that's good. So, how does this all relate to Rutgers? Well, a big part of diversity is the cultural centers here. So you have the Paul Robeson Cultural Center, which is located on Bush, the Center for Latino Arts and Culture, which is also known as the CLAC. It's that pretty painted building next to ABP on College Ave. Well, let me probably say something about it. So the CLAC is dedicated to creating a space where the Rutgers community can discover Latin culture, like within the United States. Paul Robeson Center it offers programs and showcases the contributions of African Americans to America and the world culture throughout literature and science and the arts. Then you have the Asian American Cultural Center, which is located on Livingston campus. It showcases the contributions of Asians and Asian Americans through wide arrays of cultural presentations, exhibits, performances, lectures, meetings, etc. And then you have the Center for Social Justice, which is also located on Livingston. This is by Tillett Hall, or inside Tillett Hall. Asian American Cultural Center is near the playground across from the Student Center, if you guys know where that is. It's right across, like next to Building C of Livingston Apartments. And it provides, the Center for Social Justice provides educational, social, and leadership development programs for LGBT students, allies, staff, faculty, etc. And of course, LGBT students as well. And there's even more diversity, and it's not limited to your looks, like I said earlier. It's also expanded to your personality, your interests, anything. So, how does all this relate to chemistry? Ow. Well, I gave you guys balloons, right? I had you rise above. So technically those were supposed to have helium in it. We didn't have helium, but pretend they were helium filled. So if you're rising above something, a balloon's a perfect way to rise, right? When you fill it with helium, it goes up. Why is that the case? Instead of balloons sinking to the ground like what you have now. So if you just let go of the balloon, what's it gonna do? It falls, right? But why is it when it's filled with helium, it rises? Science, yes.
Science.
Yeah. Yes. Good job. So helium is lighter than air. So air consists of a bunch of different gases: oxygen, nitrogen, CO2. But helium is a lot lighter than, I think, any one of those singly, as well as any of them combined, right? So, and then hot air also makes the balloon rise. So if you see like hot air balloons, which I showed you a couple slides ago, they use fire to make hot air, so that's what makes the balloon lift up into the air. Whereas then when they take it off, these sandbags, that's when it sinks, because then all that hot air is being released. And same thing with balloons. If you fill it with hot air or helium, it'll go up. But if you just blow it up with your mouth, it's just be cold, just regular CO2. It's gonna go down. It's not gonna float, right? That makes sense? And not only that, but fun fact about balloons, these balloons are like latex, so they're very porous. So even if you fill it with helium, it's gonna rise. But I don't know if you guys have ever noticed with these kinds of balloons, if you leave them for a few hours, they start to go down. Has anybody ever noticed that? Yeah? So latex is very porous. So air escapes, no matter what air it is, it escapes very quickly from these balloons. But when you see those balloons with foil, the nylon, they stay up for like ever, right? They don't ever pop because they're sealed. They're sealed shut. Make sense? So this whole diversity concept I want you guys to take away is everybody's different, everybody's diverse. Diversity is an essential part of life. If we don't have it, what do we have really? We don't have any kind of knowledge about any other culture, right? So I'm going to show you guys a couple of quotes. So I'm sure you guys know The Lion King, most of you have seen it. You need to understand that balance and respect all the creatures, from the crawling ant to the leaping antelope. You have the flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all, from Mulan. Mulan? And this one's not Disney, but he who is different from me does not impoverish me. He enriches me. Our unity is constituted in something higher than ourselves. So always remember that just because someone's different from you, don't take it as a threat. Take it as they can help me, they can make me go farther. Never judge someone by the way he looks or a book by the way it's covered. For inside those tattered pages, there's a lot to be discovered. So just because someone looks a certain way does not mean you know their whole story. And then I think this is the last one. Diversity may be the hardest thing for society to live with, and perhaps the most dangerous thing for society to be without. So, that's my lesson.